Hello and welcome back to the Chattercade podcast for the first time in God knows how many weeks now. Where we obviously, Connor and I usually discuss media in the form of topic-based discussions and reviews. Obviously, we've got now Connor again. Very difficult these days to try and get sit down with him and actually record on these, but I do want to in the next few weeks because there's some decent things I want to talk about with him. But either way, I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes, and today, obviously, I'm going to discuss a few things. Obviously, I'm going to sort of catch up with why I haven't been recording. Obviously, I've been putting some posts out on obviously the YouTube community tab explaining why I haven't been able to record. So I'm going to actually verbally explain it. Then I want to talk about the Summer Game Fest that basically dropped over last weekend. I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm just going to talk about the things that stood out the most for me. And then I'm going to give a review on the new Netflix shark movie, Under Paris, which will round out this video. Obviously, if I feel like a cough coming off, stop the mic and just let it go. But at the moment, fingers crossed, and no thumbs up there, fingers crossed that I don't have to worry about that. So first off, reason why I haven't been recording, not just a podcast, but pretty much anything. I'm currently behind in Gravity Falls reviews. I have, by the time this episode goes out, there's 2 that I have still recorded, which will go out next week. So we're kind of having a chance to sit down for a couple of weeks to do this tour. Yet to sit down and record the next part of Assassin's Creed playthrough. I'm hoping to do it today. So by the time this video goes out, hopefully over the next week or so, I'll start dropping the new episodes. My fingers are crossed on that one. And obviously I've just about been able to get the FEW showdown and just FEW stuff in general going out. Obviously I had a fuck up with my computer for the last episode showdown, but I still got it out. Just minus commentary. And obviously I still haven't sat down to do any live streams, but I'm hoping to start doing that again soon. So yes, obviously the reason behind that, obviously, around the time the movie If came out, I basically had a really nasty ass cough. I think it was a slight chest infection. Thanks to Hayden. She obviously was dealing with it since really the week after we did our Ranch Simulator live stream, because obviously we planned to do more. She got unwell, so we couldn't do anything, and eventually that did develop into a chest infection. I think she then passed it on to me, and it affected me, not to the extent it affected her, but it still affected me quite annoyingly, which meant at this moment I've still yet to see Furiosa, which is annoying me because I want to watch that fucking movie. I'm yet to see the new Bad Boys. I feel like cough coming, so I'm gonna have a quick drink. Yeah, so I'm yet to see the new Bad Boys. I'm hoping I can see the new Quiet Place, and I'm hoping to see these 2 movies before their cinema run ends, because I'll kick myself if I don't. And yeah, so obviously that was affecting me, and it kind of dropped off for a week, around Bank Holiday week, so I was like, okay, maybe this coming weekend I'll be able to go and watch Furiosa. And then I woke up the Tuesday morning, so the day after Bank Holiday, and had a really bad pain in my side. I mean, I've still got it now. That pain wasn't to the extent that it's going to stop me from doing anything. So I went to work, pretty much bashed through the week of work, and then come the final part of my last but one shift, obviously I turned, and in the process I pulled something really bad, to the point I was in agonizing pain, so I couldn't even sit in front of a computer. And that affected me for over that entire weekend and into the following week. And as I say, it's still affecting me a little bit now, but not as much, which is why I'm able to actually sit here. I mean, I've just got a pillow on my back just to try and make sure it just doesn't go again. And I said those 2 instances fucked me over, and then obviously my cough came back again. So it was just a fucking couple of weeks of just pure annoyance of illness and pain. But thankfully, I'm through that now, and I'm looking like I'm actually starting to record properly again. My fingers are crossed that nothing else happens to fuck me over and cause me just to go, shit, I can't release anything brand new apart from shorts. So that's kind of what has been affecting me and why I haven't been able to record a new episode of the podcast or pretty much anything apart from Showdown, which I had pre-recorded practically a while ago. Obviously now I'm actually going to talk about the Summer Game Fest that dropped. Obviously it was over the course of, was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was it? Something like that. Each day, little sections where stuff was being announced, stuff was just being revealed a bit more. And there's quite a few things that were intriguing. There's quite a few things that, for me, weren't intriguing. But there was a lot, and as I said, this list I've got currently on my screen next to me is kind of the ones that stood out the most to me. Obviously, there's loads of others, and there's a few others that did stand out, but I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to talk about the ones I quickly made into a list that I would look at. I was like, yeah, I can talk about them. Obviously the first one, big one, which dropped on the Sunday during the Xbox panel, which is Doom: The Dark Ages. Or just Doom Dark Ages. I don't know, but I think it's just Doom Dark Ages, which is obviously the next chapter in the Doom saga. And it takes you back all the way to Dark Ages, and you get a pretty cool, badass looking Doom guy with like a cloak and stuff like that, and a cape, sorry, and more medieval inspired gear. I mean, that gun he has that fucking uses a skull to turn itself into ammunition is fucking incredible. I mean, the trailer was phenomenal. It blew me away. Obviously, I didn't see it when it first came out. I got the message from Connor saying Xbox are on fire at Game Fest, and I was like, okay, I'll have a look. And I looked, and I was like, we were literally talking about possibility for a new Doom a few days ago, and I was watching. I was like, I bet you creamed your pants at this trailer because this trailer was phenomenal. And the fact it's going to, a lot of the Xbox titles I'll bring up straight away on Game Pass day one, and this is one of them next year. So, next year at the moment is fucking lit for games. But it's something I said to Connor. I said, it seems to be like 1 year you have a few games, nothing like spectacular. Maybe one that stands out the most. And then the next year there'd be fucking like an entire slate that you're just like, what the hell? We got a GTA, we got a fucking new Doom game. The list goes on for next year, and it's like, why is this year a bit shitty for games, but next year is like fucking on fire? But it's just how it is. But yeah, the new Doom game looks incredible. If you haven't seen the trailer, fucking go watch it. It's phenomenal. I'm hoping it captures the exact same magic of the last two Doom games, which it looks like it does. So my fingers are crossed that this is going to be a phenomenal entry to the saga. A great way to follow up a duology, have this great prequel to make it a trilogy. What else did they announce? Obviously the new Gears of War prequel. So obviously sticking with prequels, obviously Gears of War E-Day. I've only ever played the first Gears of War. I played the remastered one when that came out. I played the start of the third one. I want to sit down at some point and just bash through all of them. But I am interested in this. Obviously, since it's a prequel, you don't really have to touch the others. So it's cool that they're going to Marcus is like the most popular character. Let's go further back. Let's bring him back and have a younger version of him set before the first game, and just have a ball with that, since it started to go very much far away from Gears of, obviously what everyone loved with Gears of War early on, bringing a lot of new characters through obviously 4 and 5, and obviously they didn't hit as much with fans, so it's a good idea to go, okay, let's take a step back, let's rework it. Next entry, we'll bring back, and you can play as the best character in the franchise. So obviously, there's not much to this. It was just a little quick cinematic, which is a pretty cool cinematic. It was really good, with him fighting obviously one of the I don't know what the creatures are called in Gears. I fucking haven't played it for a long time. Obviously, one of the grey, big, muscly fucking hench ones. You'll be screaming if you obviously Gears of War fan. You're probably screaming right now like, this is what they call them. I'm like, okay. I don't know if you know, just put it in the comments below. But yeah, it was like a pretty quick badass like fight scene between these two, which ends in like blowing his brains out. Like not just his brains, like his head clean off. But But yeah, it's definitely a good hype for whenever they actually have a release date, because it doesn't have a release date, so it could be next year, it could be the year after, who knows. But either way, again, it's another one that I'm pretty certain is coming straight to Game Pass day one, so I'll be straight on that one as soon as it comes out. What else we got? I've got a couple of, most of these are pretty much continuous, obviously franchises that have been going for a long time. So, for example, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, they dropped some more gameplay for that. They dropped the campaign trailer, some multiplayer stuff. And again, it's another one's day one Game Pass. Obviously, I'm not as hyped anymore for Call of Duty because they're always hit or miss. I didn't play the last one, which was obviously Modern Warfare 3. I've got a sneeze coming on. I'm trying to hold it back. But yeah, I didn't play Modern Warfare 3, obviously the remake sort of timeline, because I heard it was meant to be fucking ass, the campaign, so I haven't touched it. But I enjoyed the first two, Modern Warfare 2, the remakes. Cold War was decent. I know the last World War one they did was shit. Was it Vanguard, was it? Obviously, then that was fucking shit. To the point Connor only got it because he got it for free from a fucking, from obviously Twitter, when he was called Twitter. But yeah, so I'm not ever as hyped for Call of Duty. I mean, I usually play them if obviously Connor's like, oh, you should pick it up and play it, and then I usually go, okay, fair enough, I'll pick it up and play it so we can play some multiplayer together. But obviously, if the story looks interesting to me, then I'll pick it up. And obviously, this one being Game Pass, I don't really have to fucking worry about it looking decent. I can just check it out anyway and see if it's any good. So I'm interested to see how this is now, because this is like, as I say, they've got to follow up that shitty last one, so at least there's a low bar for this one. But obviously at the same time, with this being another Black Ops entry, the fact that they're bringing Woods back, it's set after Cold War, it's set after a lot of stuff in the first two Black Ops games, apart from the future storyline. They've got to get it right, but as I say, there's that much of a low bar from Modern Warfare 3. It's only got to do a little bit more just to surpass that, so we'll see about that when it comes out in October. What else we got? Assassin's Creed Shadows. Obviously, that was announced a few weeks back. A really cool cinematic trailer. Taking you to Japan this time, the Creed. And as I say, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I've been playing on the channel for the past year or so. And obviously, I'm about to jump into the DLC of Assassin's Creed 3. So I was very much looking forward to a possible next entry, because Mirage was good. But obviously, I want the next big entry. And the fact that we're going to Japan, I was like, oh, absolutely. This is the last few games have been the settings I like, i.e. Valhalla being obviously Norse based. I was like straight on that. Odyssey being Greek based. I was this is mythology I love. Mirage being fucking Origins being Egypt. A lot of cool stuff in that. So as soon as I was like, okay, we're going to Japan, I was like, yes. There's a samurai. There's obviously shinobi and stuff like that. There's a lot in this. I was like, yes. This is for me. And of course, then they dropped a little bit of gameplay at this showcase. Not a lot, but a little bit to get people more hyped, because obviously there's a Ubisoft showcase, whatever, Ubisoft Forward, whatever it's fucking called, which is going to be a bit more about it. So by the time this episode goes out, that's going to happen. So I'm going to be watching that as soon as the video comes out on it, because I'm hyped for this game. I know there's got people bitching and moaning about the protagonist, but I'm hyped for it. Can't wait. Still debating if I'm going to play it on the channel as soon as it comes out. I might hold off on that one. Just because obviously I know it's going to be a pretty bigger game than Mirage. That's the reason I play that on the channel, because I know Mirage is going to be a smaller game, so I can actually just do it in a very quick couple of live streams where I know this is going to take a while, so I might probably save this when I get to the actual past Valhalla. So it might be a while before I touch on the channel. So I'll play it as soon as I get it. I just probably won't record it until a couple of years down the line, whenever I get to that point. But still, I'm very much hyped for this. Can't wait for it. Can't wait to see what they drop at the Ubisoft, obviously, Forward event. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. What else we got? Life is Strange Double Exposure, I believe it's called, which is the next chapter in the Life is Strange franchise. I believe it comes out in October at the end. Like each episode starts coming out then, and this goes back to the first game protagonist, I believe. So I'm interested with this because I have played the first Life is Strange. I played the prequel to it. I played the third game last year, which was pretty fun. I'm yet to play the second game, but I do have it installed. I just need to sit down at some point and play it. So I'm interested to see this. The trailer looked interesting. I like the whole you trying to solve a murder, but at the same time you're going into basically a multiverse situation where you're in the exact same reality, but the murder hasn't happened, so you're trying to solve it in this reality. It looked pretty interesting. So there's not too much to say about it. But it did look very interesting, and I love a good murder mystery, and a detective game essentially. So this kind of ticks those boxes. So I'd definitely be checking it out. Then if I check it out at launch, I might hold off. I'm not too sure yet, because I know obviously Assassin's Creed comes out a few weeks after, so I might hold off with this until all the episodes are out, because that's how I did it with basically the rest of them. I just played them when they fully were released, so I might hold off on that 50-50. I'll wait till depending how I feel at that time, and if I've got the money for it. What else? Another Game Pass game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Obviously Troy Baker taking over the role of obviously Indy, which the gameplay they showed for this, obviously it wasn't really gameplay, it was more of a huge cinematic sequence, and there's a little bit of gameplay at the end, but the cinematic sequence looked fucking badass. Looked like Bethesda have hit the mark on this one. I hope it's good. I hope it's not a letdown, because if this is just done right, it will be a great game, and it probably, if Wolf Among Us 2 doesn't come out this year, it probably will be my favourite game of the year. But I'm hoping it's done right. I'm hoping it's not something that I'm hyped for and then it comes out and I'm let down about, like the Rise of the Ronin game that came out. So obviously I was hyped like hell for that, but then I played it and I just haven't even bothered to sit down and carry on with it because I was just a bit let down with it. So fingers crossed I haven't overhyped myself with this game. And fingers crossed Bethesda haven't let us down like I did with obviously Starfield. In terms of a lot of people's thoughts on that game. Yeah, I'm interested with this. What happened then? Hopefully that didn't show up in the video. What else? Obviously Blumhouse announced that it basically, fully revealed their game slate, that obviously their first batch of games. Not really interested in a lot of these that they showed, but I do like the idea of this horror movie company going, okay, let's transition into games as well. So I'm interested to see where they go with some stuff in the future, because they've got a lot of IP, so it'd be interesting to see them adapt some of that IP into games, as well as these original games that they are making. So I liked the passion, the enthusiasm when Jason Blum and that were talking about them getting into the gaming industry. So that's all I want to say on that. Alan Wake 2 DLC, can't really say too much on that because I've yet to play Alan Wake 2, so I've kind of stayed away from the trailer. I've heard it's meant to be crazy, so I need to sit down and play Alan Wake 2, which is getting a physical edition now, which is pretty cool, but a bit too late because I already own it on Epic. What else? Lego Horizons Adventures. Two games that I love, Lego and the Horizon franchise. So this collision is just perfect, and I'm looking forward to see how it's handled. Because it'd be cool, obviously, if it's done well enough, it'd be cool to see other big gaming IPs from like PlayStation, and not even just PlayStation, like Xbox as well. It'd be cool to see them turn them into Lego as well. I mean, imagine like a Lego Halo game or Lego Gears of War game or something like that. It'd be cool to see others if this is done right, which usually Lego games are done right. It's very rare Lego do a shoddy ass game. So we'll see. I think it's supposed to be December that comes out, so it'll be a good game to play for Christmas for me. And then lastly, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind game, which is kind of like the Shredder the Turtles game, the more retro type side-scrolling arcade looking game. So that's what it looks interesting. I like the fact that it's not just the fighting. You can do all the stuff. I can use Zords. You can do like little arcade games. It looked pretty intriguing. So I'm probably going to check that out because I'm a big Power Rangers fan. So it's straight up my alley to check out. Yeah, as I said, there's a lot of other things that were announced. So a lot of stuff like, I mean, Fable, for example. There's a Fable trailer which I haven't really seen. There's State of Decay 3 trailer. So there's loads of other reveals, but obviously, yeah, I kind of picked like a list of stuff that I was most hyped for, or most intrigued in. But as I said, there's plenty of others that might be more intriguing to you that you can check out. And so I would love to talk more about like some of these obviously reveals with Connor at some point, especially the Doom one. The Doom one is a big one. I can definitely sit down and just talk to him for ages about. And probably the Call of Duty, maybe Gears of War ones. Those ones I could probably sit down and talk to him about. So I might try and see at some point about doing that. So yeah, obviously my last part I want to talk about for this podcast is the latest Netflix movie, Under Paris, which came out last Wednesday, I believe it was. I think it came on Wednesday, but I didn't get to watch it till the Friday. My sleep pattern is just shockingly bad at the moment, so most of the time I'm getting out of bed, sitting down and falling back to sleep, because I'm barely getting sleep during the daytime. So I didn't get a chance to watch it till Friday. I watched it in French. I didn't watch it in English. I know there is an English dub, but fuck that. I mean, Godzilla Minus One has an English dub, but fuck that. I watched it in Japanese again, with subtitles, and honestly, it's actually a pretty decent film. For people who don't know what it is, basically Under Paris is a film set in France, obviously, and involves the police working with essentially basically this woman who knows a bit more. Knows. I don't think she was an expert. Well, she kind of became an expert, I think, in sharks. Obviously, they work with her after basically a shark she was tracking years before, a Mako shark, basically has made its way into the Paris canal/rivers, and basically they don't believe her at first, but then when it obviously all kicks in, it's there, and so it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting movie. Obviously, you got the start of it, which is set in the past, where basically a bunch of divers go in the water, showing obviously this massive like heap of rubbish in the ocean, and they're kind of doing like a slight documentary talking about it, and at the same time they're also obviously checking on these sharks, particularly this one that they've tagged and basically need to get some data from. But when they come face to face with it, it's grown a lot bigger than when they last saw it, and it kind of has grown a bit too big, and basically wipes out this crew apart from two, and cut all these years later, and it swam all the way from, I swear it said Australia at the start, but I could be wrong. Might have also said Hawaii. It swam quite a long distance, and it's made its way into France, and basically this activist, obviously this woman has gone to the survivor from the start, and it's like, okay, we've got the tracking of the shark, it's in Paris, and basically they're kind of working together for a little bit until the point obviously she has to work with the cops, and basically the carnage unfolds because there's like a triathlon happening in France, and the shark's basically going to be a massive problem. So basically this movie has a lot of Jaws elements to it. You have a shark invading the territory where it's not usually a threat. You have a mayor that doesn't want to shut down a big event, i.e. the triathlon, Jaws, basically this 4th of July situation, obviously celebration. Obviously you have a whole shark sequence where people are running for their lives. Well, running/swimming for their lives. Each scene in Jaws, this scene, it's like a catacombs, which is pretty cool. It's more claustrophobic than Jaws, and it kind of goes, okay, what if the actual shark was there, not just a bunch of kids bullshitting and causing a couple of injuries? What if the shark's actually there and causes more than injuries, causes deaths? And obviously, you got the end sequence where the shark finally goes for it, and starts attacking everyone. Whereas obviously in Jaws, it kind of takes it far away. Basically, they take the shark away from civilization. They deal with it in a smaller scale. Whereas it's like, okay, let's follow this group trying to kill the shark and showing it going on a rampage. And so there's a lot of Jaws elements to it, because I know a lot of reviews I've read online have very much done a lot of Jaws comparisons. I've read like some articles saying it's better than Jaws. It's not. I've read some articles saying basically the film is shit, just go watch Jaws. I wouldn't say it's shit, not at all. It's definitely not better than Jaws, but it does have those Jaws vibes, and I think that's why I like it. I think the only things that let me down with this is the digital effects, particularly when the shark jumps out the water. When it's in the water, obviously you can take it's digital, it's not bad. It's okay CGI. It's when it jumps out the water, you can tell it's very digital. It kind of reminds me of Bait 3D, that sort of level of digital effects, but I'm guessing it's a lower budget. But I'm okay with that as long as we get a decent shark movie, because it's been a while since a more down-to-earth type shark movie. I know if you've seen this movie, it gets very less down-to-earth at the end, with a lot of reveals and just the ending in general, which is very bleak. But most of the film itself is very down-to-earth. So a lot of shark movies these days aren't. So I'm talking about Sharknadoes, I'm talking about your Megalodon, I'm talking about, obviously, The Meg, which is the actual big-budgeted version of that shitty-ass Megalodon movie. I'm talking about your giant mega shark movies. The list goes on and on. A lot of these movies are very over the top because they're giant CGI sharks. There's nothing down to earth. But when they do these sort of smaller scale ones, I'm talking about most recently, the one that comes to mind, obviously, The Reef Stalked, Requiem. There's a couple of other ones. They tend to be dog shit when they actually do a proper down to earth shark movie. They don't tend to be very good. They're filled with bad digital effects. They're filled with bad stories. They're filled with just shit. Whereas this, I don't think it is. Anything that annoys me is the activist thing, just because the character is so fucking dumb. Like, you're literally getting told by an actual expert, get out the fucking water. I know what I'm talking about here. Get out. Like, that was an annoying sequence, but it led to a pretty cool death, so... spoiler. Slightly. I won't spoil anything else. But still, it's very down to earth up until the big reveal towards the end, and that's what I like about this. It's not this over the top sharp movie. It's very tame, as I say, until that big reveal, and there is some really good sequences. As I said, the start's pretty cool. It slows down, then obviously then it's the mystery angle of, is the shark actually in? And obviously you keep seeing the feeling like, okay, the shark is here, and then you got the big catacombs sequence. You've got the big finale. You got three massive obviously sequences: the start, the end, and really the middle catacomb scene. Like, these are all your big massive sequences, and you got these little scenes and a lot of story to build you up to these. And I feel like it's a decent movie. I mean, it's a good Netflix movie. Obviously, so you can watch it in dub or sub. I chose sub. I chose to watch it in obviously natural language. I just don't like watching a lot of dubs where it's very clearly out of sync and the audio is very clearly off, because obviously they've had to record English audio over it. I just can't deal with that unless I'm really tired and I can't be asked to read the subtitles. Then that's different. But I just thought, fuck it, I'm reading these subtitles. I can't be asked. But as I say, it's a really pretty entertaining movie. I say, if you like Jaws, there's a lot of Jaws elements to it. They obviously will probably draw you in. There's a lot of carnage. I read someone like a review with someone saying like they wish it had like a really hard R rating for like a lot of brutal gore and all. I was like, it didn't need it. I don't get that sometimes. I think sometimes you look at them and go, okay, could do a bit more blood, but I feel like this had enough. Like, a lot of the times you're seeing like quite bloody sequences, like someone's like leg missing. You're seeing like the water going fully red. So I don't understand why this review was like, oh, it needed to be like more R rated. I was like, no, it didn't. It was the perfect balance, really. Any more would have been a bit too over the top, and obviously it would have got I think it's a 50 in this film, so it would have obviously ended up with like an 18 rating, which I don't think needed. I feel like a lot of shark films you can get them over 15, and obviously I feel like this is one that benefited from being a 15. It's not too brutal. It does enough just about. And it's got some decent like action sequences. I mean, the final sequence, which I won't spoil too much, but basically the whole sequence of the military basically trying to shoot the shark, and it's like this really like dramatic like guns shooting sequence, and it's like really cool. Which leads to like a massive like, which leads to the bleak end moment, and as I say, it's such a really like adrenaline pumping sequence, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't expect this, but it reminds me of something that you'd probably see like in the Meg, particularly the first Meg, when obviously the helicopter's gunning after the shark. It kind of reminds me of that, but more smaller scale and like just a lot more guns. So yeah, it is a good Netflix movie. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I know the reviews are very mixed audience-wise, and critics are pretty decent reviews. Not like out of this world, but decent. But I'd go into the more decent category for this because I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of the better shark movies I've seen in a while. Not obviously ones that haven't got this massive budget. I mean, it's probably one of the better ones. And yeah, it's a good movie. Like this, obviously, if you haven't seen it, obviously you can go check it out. If you have seen it, put your thoughts on it in the comments below. And I say rating wise, at the moment my gut's telling me to go with an 8.4 out of 10. I might rewatch it at some point and maybe change that, but my first instinct is an 8.4. I say it's good. If they improved the CGI, it would have been better, but it's never going to be as good as Jaws for me. But it's definitely going to be better than a lot of these other shoddy shark movies you've seen over the years. And I'm definitely interested to see if they do a second one, because I say it ends in a way that they could, and I'm hoping they do. So I'm hoping this. I think it is in like the top 10 on Netflix. I'm hoping that makes them go, okay, let's have a crack at a second one, and let's obviously there's a few different pathways they could go for a sequel, which I'd be interested in either of them really, because as I say, I'd be interested in them continuing where they are, but I'd be interested to maybe them go to another country, look at what if a shark going to their ecosystem. So I mean, they could literally redeem the Shark in Venice situation, that shoddy ass film with fucking was it Stephen Baldwin? They could literally redeem that entire movie by going, okay, let's take this shark to Venice and let's do it right. So yeah, as I say, if you've seen it, put your thoughts on it below. If you haven't seen it, so check it out. And if you do, then put the thoughts below. What you thought of it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what you'd like to see in a sequel if they do a sequel, and would you like to see them maybe do more shark movies of this caliber, like ones that are more serious in tone rather than jokey as fuck or really low budget that it's bad. So yeah, would you like to see them maybe have a crack at another animal? Like, I mean, give this sort of budget to like a crocodile movie, or well, I would say bear, but they did cocaine bear, so it's already happened. So, you know, you get what I'm saying. Like, there's so many other animals that could have like a decent like horror movie focused on, ones that haven't really had a decent horror movie focused on them in a while. So yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, obviously that's it for this episode. Obviously you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible. The list goes on. You can also check it out on YouTube. You can check out my obviously, since I mentioned shark movies, you can check out my other shark movie reviews. So obviously I got a video covering both Meg movies. I'll link that in the description below. I got a video covering both. Obviously these are two separate videos. I got covering the reef duology. So I did plenty in the past. I'm talking the entire Jaws quadrilogy, Deep Blue Sea trilogy, and The Shallows. I've got a massive bunch of like shark movies if you want to check them out. I'll try and link most of them in the description below so you can check them out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm hoping to do one next week, as long as nothing fucks up. So my fingers crossed on that. I'm not gonna say what topic or anything because I don't see the point in saying a topic because I don't have a fucking clue until I'm about to sit down and do it. I mean, this was like a last minute, like, well, I can just talk about these things. So I'll just do that from now on, unless 100% I know what topic I'm doing. I just got a text message saying I got a Greg's on the way, which is nice. So I'm gonna wrap this up now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And well, I'll see you on the next video.